Hello class, it's just me reading some more facts about the ancient Egyptians. Thank you to those of you who sent in some interesting facts. I've really enjoyed reading them. And I'm thinking maybe next week or the week after, we will share them in the Zoom calls. So it's not too late if you want to email me with any more facts. So where did we get up to? Right, fact 41. The farming year was divided into 3 seasons: the flood, the growing period, and the harvest. Most people worked on the land, but farmers could not work between July and November because the land was covered by floodwaters. Instead, they went off to help build the pyramids and royal palaces. The River Nile used to flood its banks in July each year. The floodwaters left a strip of rich black soil about 10 kilometres wide along each bank. Apart from these fertile strips and a few scattered oasis pools of water in the desert, the rest of the land was mainly just sand. 10 kilometres wide, I'm trying to think of something that you might know that's 10 kilometres wide. I'm thinking Dorney Lake, I believe, is 5 kilometres. So you'd have to go around that twice to get to 10 kilometres. Or maybe if you walked around Braywick, I think is just over 2 kilometres on the bottom path. So you'd have to walk around that 5 times. So 10 kilometres wide is pretty wide. 43. Egyptian farmers had to water their crops because of the hot, dry climate with no rain. They dug special channels around their fields along which the waters of the Nile could flow. In this way, farmers could water their crops all year round. This was called irrigation, and it is still done today. 44. Water was lifted from the Nile using a device called a shadoof. It was a long pole with a wooden bucket hanging from a rope at one end and a weight at the other. The pole was supported by a wooden frame. One person working alone could operate a shadoof. Fact 45. Farmers used wooden ploughs pulled by oxen to prepare the soil for planting. They also had wooden hoes. The seeds were mainly planted by hand. At harvest time, wooden sickles edged with stone teeth were used to cut the crops. Fact 46. Harvesting the grain was only the start of the process. In the threshing room, people would beat the grain to separate it from the chaff, the shell of the grain. It was then winnowed, and men would throw the grain and chaff up into the air and fan away the chaff. The heavier grain dropped straight to the floor. The grain was then gathered and taken to the granary to be stored. Wheat and barley for bread and beer were the 2 main crops grown by the ancient Egyptians. They also grew grapes for wine and flax to make linen. A huge variety of fruits and vegetables grew in the fertile soil, including dates, figs, cucumbers, melons, onions, peas, leeks, and lettuce. I don't believe it. Instead of using scarecrows, Egyptian farmers hired young boys to scare away the birds. They had to have a loud voice and a good aim with a slingshot. 48. Egyptian farmers kept cattle as well as goats, sheep, ducks, and geese. Some farmers kept bees to produce honey, which was used for sweetening cakes and other foods. Fact number 49. Back to the Nile, I think. The main method of transport in ancient Egypt was by boat along the River Nile. The Nile is the world's longest river. It flows across the entire length of the desert lands of Egypt. Fact number 50. The earliest kind of boat were made from papyrus reeds. They were propelled by a long pole and later on by oars. Gradually, wooden boats replaced the reed ones, and sails were added. Thanks very much for listening, Willow class. Have a good day. Take care.